Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Straightforward Farming Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Reed, alongside Nick McCormick. And once again, we got Mr. Bullets and Mullets, Nathan Cushman, joining us. And we've been outside on the deck, drinking beer, talking this and that, reminiscing about the old days. And I think we're going to stay on that subject. Growing up, I mean, just the trucks were cool, the car, which actually we missed out on the really cool shit. Our dads got the cool stuff, 60s, cool 70s, stuff. All that shit. And luckily we caught the tail end when all that stuff was kind of going by the wayside.
But you could still find it then.
Exactly. Yeah, they had the cool tractors, the cool trucks, cars, all that shit. But I guess the one thing they didn't have was the four-wheelers. Like we were talking, you was big into the 250Rs growing up and whatnot. And that's one thing they didn't have. But, yeah, them truly were the good old days, I guess.
You could ride that stuff. Nobody cared. You could find it. It was fairly cheap. You could bale some hay and afford one. You know.
Yep. Yeah, back then you could ride that shit on the road. Nobody said nothing. I mean, hell, you guys lived in town and could ride them in town and nobody really said a whole hell of a lot. No. I mean, I don't know. I probably, if I could go back, I would like to have like a 78, 79 Ford F-250 of some sort. Jacked up. Them was nice trucks. I had one. Hell, my uncle gave me one. I mean, literally gave me the son of a bitch. And, it was beat up. I mean, he bought it. He didn't buy it brand new. That thing was like a year old when he bought it. And I think the guy who bought it had ran it through some water. And he didn't hurt the motor. But he got like water in the floorboard and the interior and whatever, and just freaked him out. Didn't want it no more, so he traded in. I mean, that was only like a 6-month-old truck, and my uncle bought it.
Yeah.
I think that was a 79. And he drove it ever since, and I think he gave it to me in probably 06, 07, somewhere in there. And I drove it for a few years, and his son ended up buying it back, and he's fixed it all up now. It's a badass-looking truck now.
It's awesome now, yeah.
Got it all jacked up.
I don't think there's anybody that doesn't like a 78 or 79 Ford square headlight.
Yeah.
Even if you're not a Ford guy, everybody likes them.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Them, and even back then, the Chevy trucks were
square body Chevys, the Dodges, they all look decent.
They did,
They're not like today.
I will say the Dodge trucks got really, really ugly in the 80s, I thought, and them,
and they kept that forever.
They did, and I mean, them trucks were just hideous. The Cummins motor is what saved them as far as, I mean, it damn sure wasn't on looks.
No.
I just come across a TikTok the other day. It was a Dodge promo from sometime in the 80s talking about the Cummins motor, and I mean, that thing, I don't know if revolutionary is the right word, but I mean, it was badass for the day.
Dodge was 6 months from canceling truck production. They were going to get out of the truck business, and Cummins called them and said, hey, we got this engine we think would work really good in a pickup truck. Do you have a couple trucks? They're like, yeah, we got several. We can't sell them here.
Yeah.
We'll send them over, and they put a Cummins in and said, hey, we think we can sell these, and that saved Dodge's truck business.
One of the old commercials of it, they put a fucking dozer blade on the square body and push shit with it. Now it's like, we got a step on your tailgate.
They're more focused on the interior bullshit and the comforts.
Yeah.
Back then it was, you could do anything with this son. Remember when we was kids, the truck commercials, they'd always have them like in a rock quarry. They'd dump the whole load of rock in the back, and it'd bounce and shit.
Yeah. My dad had a 76 Ford F-250 with a 400. I think it was a 400 or a 390. I don't remember now. It's been too long ago. I'd have to ask him.
Was that the old dually that was a parts truck?
That was a 79.
Okay.
Old purple.
Yep.
That was a 79. That had a 400 in it, all cammed up one. I ran good too for being a service truck. But the 76 had a turbo on it and an LP. And he loaned it to a buddy of his, and he threw 5 rods to the side of it.
Oh shit!
Wow. A big block with a turbo get you right down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, my first truck when I was 16 was a 76 F-250. It was only 2-wheel drive, but that truck was only 20 years old at the time. Mm-hmm. Looking back now, that would be like having a 2000 model truck now.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But yeah, I just like the interior. I mean, it was just plain and simple. And
I like the key on the dash, not on the steering column.
Yeah. Yeah, them was the good old days. And like say four-wheelers, back then it seemed like the four-wheelers were badass.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're all good. If I could have another, I love 79 Fords, but that's too easy to take, right? I'm like, everybody loves 79 Fords. Anything 80 to 86, I always like that body style. I like the interior.
Yep.
I like that better than the 87 to 91.
Sure.
I like the 80 to 86 better. I'd take another one of those, which is what I had when I turned 16. It was a diesel, but I would take a gas or a diesel. I prefer the gas just because I want to cackle the pipes. I've got diesel stuff now. I don't need it for that, but...
yeah, because to me, the older 70s trucks, to me, personally, look 10 times better than the truck that you drive now. And what's your truck, like an 06, 03? Yeah. And to me, they just look 10 times better.
Yeah, I love those old trucks. Yeah. I like the 88, 86. The interior was good in those. I like the 92 to 97 body style as well. But then you're getting a little bit newer as far as, talking nostalgic or whatever. I mean, they're still old at this point. But
right.
Actually inquired. I found one the other day. It was a 97 one-ton with a 460 in it. I'm like, I need that thing like I need, hitting the head with a hammer. So
So you bought it?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Back in the days, our kids will never know when you had 2 fuel tanks.
Yeah,
had to flip the switch.
Yep.
I remember when Dad bought a 6.9. We went to Shawnee almost every weekend riding horses. And he bought a 6.9. And holy shit, that was a big deal. He had a diesel, diesel truck.
Yeah. It's all cotton.
Which fucking...
But hell, when we were
today's standards,
well, hardly pull anything, by today,
By today's standards, but back then it was way better than having a 450 Chevy.
Well, we ran around with a guy who had a 454 in his truck.
Yeah, he passed everything but a gas station.
Yep.
And he had to pull up in the middle of the pumps to stick a hose in each side so he couldn't figure out 2 tanks on one side.
Yeah.
He had a square body Chevy with dually crew cab, 2-wheel drive with 454 in it, and Dad had a crew cab Ford 6.9. It was a big deal. Had a diesel pickup,
Yeah. And back then, when we were younger, diesel fuel was a lot cheaper than gas.
Right. Yeah.
And you could get just as good a mileage.
They were better. Yeah.
Yeah. I think all them Dodge Cummins that I owned, hell, that green and silver one I had, it was a 94 automatic transmission. That son of a bitch, you get 21 mile a gallon all day long.
We put 1 million turbo kits on those old Fords.
Yeah. Dad had a 03 7.3. Shit, they got 22, 23 on the interstate all the time.
I don't know what's these new ones get. Everybody bitches, they're like, hell, they
15.
get like 9, 9
if
to 15.
If you delete them, we'll get 20.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
I had no clue what they...
Allegedly, we don't know anybody that would do that.
No, that's what we heard. We read it on Google.
Yeah, I saw it on the internet.
Now, I always liked them Cummins motors, though, in pickups. I mean, they was... And even the Power Strokes was good motor. I had no issues with them.
Yeah, they were good.
All
the
the
7.3s were. 6.0s and 6.4s were a little...
Yeah, now those, I've never ran them. 7.3s was the only ones I've ever ran.
The 6.7s, though, the new ones are bad bitches. I mean, they're...
Are they?
Yep.
Yeah, they are. I don't know why Ford and Navistar never used the 360, though. They already were making it. It was good to go. I mean, it's plenty heavy compared to the Cummins, but it's
no bigger than a 444, though.
It's probably a little heavier, though.
Right.
And it wouldn't fit. That you'd had to do in a doghouse, or the body style would have had to change some to accommodate.
Well, a lot of those little S series had the 444s in them. But fuck, you had the doghouse anyway. Yeah, so
true.
I mean,
but if they'd have started with the 360 in '83 when they should have, Dodge and Chevy.
The 5.9 Cummins never would have been what it is.
It would have never been in a truck. Dodge had already been out of the market, and Chevy would have never. I mean, they didn't have anything until they got the Duramax, and that's still sketchy.
Yep.
So.
What year did the Power Stroke come out? Like 94, 96?
Late 94.
Okay. Because I just remember when them come out, that the sound of them, you'd never heard a diesel sound like that. It had that, I don't know what you'd call it. It was a whine ain't the right word, but it just sounded
way different. Rumble to them,
yeah. Way different. But
we overhauled a DT in the dump truck in the shop there a couple months ago. It was my great uncle's. It just... so much easier to work on shit back then.
Yep.
Everything was so much simpler.
Best diesel engine ever made. DT 466.
100%.
And man, they had them things in every...
Why they never made a big version of that, I'll never know. Yep. Why International never said, hey, we're selling a shitload of semis. Let's quit buying engines from Cummins and just make a big version of this. I'll never know. And trust me, as a tractor pulling guy, I'd really like to.
Well, look at all these guys that take them in these local farm classes that stock head bolts are holding 60, 70 pounds of boost. And, I mean, they fire ring them, but... I mean,
they'll take 500 horse without.
You're not studding the mains. You're not girdling them. You're just stock block, stock head. I mean, they're tough.
There was never a better engine.
No, there was a guy from down in Effingham. I don't know if he still got it or not. Or Alan Barnes. He put a 466 in a Ford pickup.
I used to pull against him.
Yeah. I don't know if he still got that or not, but
it was the best motor ever made on that.
Yeah, they did. They had them son of a bitches in everything. That was a good motor. We got one of our great trucks, and never have a bit of trouble with it.
I'd like to build a 79 or a mid 80s and put a 466 in it and juice it up a little.
Well, according to Alan's truck, you got to cut.
It's a little too long.
You can adjust the valves on about 3 cylinders from the driver's seat.
Yeah, I can see that. But a 360 would fit, and they're just as good. Same motor, it's just shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been up close to his truck with the 466.
It's tight.
I'll bet it
It's
is.
in
Yeah, I
there,
can see
yeah.
that.
But,
Does he still have that, or
yeah.
does he?
Yeah.
Honestly, I always thought about just putting it in the bed.
Yeah.
Just put it in the bed.
Like a
Get
Volkswagen.
you a drop box. And,
I always thought about it'd be fun to build one, like take one out of one pulling tractor and put it in like an S series and show it to a local pole,
Yeah.
and just mop everybody's
I
ass
said
with
the same thing,
466.
yeah.
And
I wonder why back in the day, like John Deere never got into truck engines. I mean,
shit, they could barely do tractor engines.
you're
I
right.
mean, you can be a John Deere guy all you want, but a 404 diesel is a freaking gas engine with injectors screwed in spark plug holes. I mean, the injection pump goes where the distributor went. The injectors are in spark plug holes. That was barely a diesel engine. That was the 5.7 Chevy diesel of the tractor world. You know, which was just a 350 Chevy
even when they got
on
to
diesel.
the bigger shit, is intake exhaust on the same side. How the fuck can anything breathe when you got everything right there together? Like
They were never really known for engines.
one farts go in one end, or your air goes one end, farts go out the other. I mean,
Yeah,
it's fucking,
exactly.
you don't do it on the same side.
I can tell you this, and even growing up driving a few of them for people that I worked with, I've yet to come across anybody who said, that 6.2 Chevy diesel was the most badass truck I ever drove. Them gutless pieces of shit. Oh my God.
They got okay mileage, and that's about all you can say.
I had a neighbor that was all he had my entire life
But they
growing
lasted forever.
They did,
They didn't
but
make enough horsepower to carry anything.
oh my
up.
God, them things were gutless. And I'm talking a wagon load of hay stacked 4 high was like a low. It's like, man, put it 4 low and just nail it because it's going to take everything it's
I
got.
remember Royce Compton used to have one. He had a 2-horse trailer he pulled behind it, and we took off, just smoke, just bellowing.
Yeah.
You know, like it's all that old 6.2 wanted was 2 horses and a little trailer behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, them things were
They sucked
gutless.
pretty bad.
And it didn't matter if it was 100 degrees and you just shut it off, you had to wait for the glow plugs every time. I mean, it was...
Yep. Well, that was all the way up through the old 7.3s and.
That still pisses me off.
Yeah.
Why in the world, in the mid-'80s, after glow plugs have been gone for a while on the farm side, do we say, we're going to build this engine. Let's try glow plugs and pre-caps one more time.
I guess the new trucks still have glow plugs of some sort. I mean, what do they...
Or grid heaters or a variety of
Do
grid
they- I-
Well, semis haven't had any sort of helping.
I was going to
for
say,
years.
Years. I've never been in a semi that had any.
Just all compression does it.
What always cracked me up is a tractor from that vintage, you just start them. But a truck that you need to start in the cold, we're going to
That's why all these old farmers have big old meat hands from holding the glow stick,
Yeah.
the glow plug button for 6 minutes
Well,
before
you know
you
what?
start
On a
it.
560, you hold it till your thumb goes numb. You hold it with your other thumb till
Yeah.
it goes numb. You hold it with your other thumb that's recuperated till it goes numb. Then you get the battery charger out and start the whole process over.
Yep.
That's how you start a 560.
But I guess what was it on them motors? Because, you can get on a 1066 and fire.
They weren't pre-cups. All those glow plug ones are pre-cup chambers.
Okay. Yeah, now see,
Yeah,
that's shit that's over
So
my
you
head.
have
I have no clue.
You have a little cup in the cylinder head.
Okay.
And your glow plug sits in it, heats this little air. And that
Okay.
little
And
air-
then the injector sprays across that
Gotcha.
to burn it instead of, that's why they call it direct injection. They spray it straight down.
Okay.
Straight down
So
into it.
560 was the last glow plugs on an IH
an
tractor?
IH, yeah.
Yep. Which, did Deere ever have it on anything of theirs? I don't know.
Well, International, it was the last one until the 90s, and they're like, hey, you know
Let's
what?
bring this back.
Yeah, no shit, right?
Yeah, like, hey, we ain't had this in a tractor for 30 years. We're going to put them in a pickup now.
No, Deere never had it. They had, they were 2-cylinder back then.
Right.
They never had it on those. And then,
Of course, it was mandatory to have 9 cans of ether to start a
Yeah.
4440 or anything.
well, for sure. That's why they had really good ether.
Yep. You want to break a ring in something? Get John Deere together.
Yeah. And they couldn't master the electric ether. Well, let's just jam the can into the dash. That'll be handy. Yeah. Old cars. I love old muscle cars. I'd love to have a Dukes of Hazzard Charger.
Yeah.
Just because. Or a red one with a black vinyl top.
Was the Dukes of Hazzard a 69 also?
Yep.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
How many?
Supposedly a 440 carb, I think, whatever they could.
It was, yeah. It was whatever they could find for the show that
Right.
day. A lot of
I
them
was say, how many of them did they demolish just making the show? I mean,
Several.
had to have been a bunch.
Yeah.
A lot of those scenes were just snipped in from before, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you could see a lot of that shit where they jump. I mean, it just demolishes the front.
You wonder how many of them cars were just... Because you watched some of them where they didn't cut them out soon enough. The front end's fucking...
Yeah. It just folds the
Fenders,
out.
everything just gone.
Yeah.
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 I'd love to have one of them with a 426 Hemi or a 440 with 3 deuces, but I prefer a 426 Hemi.
Didn't you say when your dad bought his, another local guy bought one the same day, and they didn't even know? I mean,
Yeah, his best friend bought one the same day.
Because for those of you, Nick's dad's got a 69. It's 69.
Yeah,
Dodge
69 Charger. Yeah.
Yep. With what 70,000 original miles on it.
68,000.
What's it got? 340 or is it?
No, it's got a 383 Magnum.
383.
It's 350 horse.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not a dog by any means,
But nonetheless, his best friend bought one.
Bought one the same day. Only his was Dad's is a black vinyl top. His buddy's was a hard top, and it was a 444 speed. Dad's is an automatic. Dad wanted a 440 with a 4-speed, but they couldn't find one. Of course, back then, it's not like the internet today, and where you're traveling real far to get one. They somehow got a hold. The 70s were already out, and he didn't like the chrome strip around the outside of the 70s, and I think the headlights are open on a 70, where on a 69 they fold away.
Okay.
And so he wanted a 69. He wanted one in petty blue. Of course, couldn't find that, so this thing is mint green. His buddy's was actually the exact same color, only a hard top. But his buddy ended up wrecking his pretty quick after that. But yeah, we still got it.
Yeah.
It gets down the road. Got great power steering, rides like a dream. Drum brakes, you can't stop from here to my house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can get going, but you can't stop them.
Yeah.
But like you say, 350 horse. I mean, that was a shitload for back then. I mean, goddamn, what did the pickup truck have? 75?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In true Dodge fashion, though, it says it'll turn like 6,000 RPMs, where it bends a push rod at 5,200 every time. But it's supposed to run more than that, but it won't in true Dodge fashion. Mom could always complete a trip with it, according to her. Dad could never make it anywhere without. When the Pontiac dealership went out and the Dodge dealership went out there years ago in Effingham, the old service writer, when they were cleaning stuff out, found a whole stack of warranty invoices or whatever. It was a push rod. Push rod. He's like, well, it's supposed to turn now. It's 5,500 or whatever it was. At 5,200, it'll bend one every time, But
can't believe your dad wasn't a Mustang guy, as diehard Ford as he is.
he wasn't a Ford guy back then. Which
Really?
Fords really weren't that fast back then.
Yeah.
I mean, I like 69 Mustangs. They're awesome looking, but it was more power back then,
And that's what's weird, too. Like,
Well, Richard Petty.
Right.
I mean, that's what everybody loved Richard
43,
Petty.
yeah.
Oh, everybody loved Richard Petty.
and it was funny, too, like with Ford, the old Mustangs, them were cool, but when you got to like 1980, that was the most hideous, ugly. I don't remember the exact
They
year.
all went that way.
But
You got to remember the Mustang 2, which is maybe the queerest car they ever made.
Right.
But
some of them in there for being a muscle car at one
Yeah,
time, it's like, man, this thing is a
Well,
pilot.
The 80s, the 80s
the
sucked,
70s gas crunch on those really screwed them. But now the Fox body Mustangs in the 80s I like, but looking back now I don't want one. But at the time I did, But I
Which,
like-
is Dodge still making the Charger? I know they did a few
Yeah,
years ago, and I didn't know if
so,
they were
yeah.
still making it.
At least Dodge is doing it right. They're making them badass looking.
Right.
But they screwed that up. The Charger should be the Challenger
Yeah.
body style, not
Right.
the Challenger.
But Ford and Chevy both came out with the new hashtag Blazer
Yeah.
and Bronco, and they're fucking look like a goddamn Equinox and
Yeah.
whatever the Ford.
Well, what burns me about the Bronco is all the concept vehicles that you saw.
Oh, they looked
awesome.
Yeah.
And then they come out with the queerest version they could find,
Yeah.
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 Dodge is still like fucking making Hellcat everything. Like, oh, we got a minivan, we'll put a Hellcat in it. We don't care.
Have you seen that video? It's like, hi, I'm James from Chevrolet, and we're going to switch all our stuff to Eco, and we're going all electric on this new whatever, and it's like, hi, I'm Jeff from Ford, and we're going to make a 4-door hatchback version of the Mustang. And then it's like, the guy from Dodge cracks a cold Busch Light, and he's like, I'm Butch from Dodge, and we're going to put a Hellcat in that minivan. It's my favorite video of all time. And I'm like, yeah, there's some truth in that. I mean,
So-
Dodge only has one strategy on that. They've never got mileage. It's never been their thing.
Yeah.
They just got to go after it.
So a guy at work has a good friend of his is millionaire. He's a local guy who's made had an internet business sold. Anyway, he's got a Hellcat. He's got a Lambo, but he's got a Hellcat too. The Hellcat Jeep.
Yeah.
And then he's got a Hellcat Charger. They're both fast as fuck.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I bet.
Is there any plans of Dodge bringing back the Ram Charger? I mean, Ford doing the Bronco and all. I mean,
I don't know.
Dodge had the Ram Charger. And
If they could get Chuck Norris to do a commercial,
oh, yeah.
flip on the old blower with the switch, and
Yeah.
fucking, yeah.
But yeah, I'm like you, though. I seen some of them concept vehicles like on the Bronco, and they look
That
badass.
silver one was awesome.
It was.
But they always gay him up at the end.
That's what, yeah, anybody that works for Mopar has any contact, listen to this podcast. If you could bring back the Hellcat Ram Charger,
Yeah.
that would be, And keep it a good body style.
Right.
Yeah.
Not something that's just terrible.
Yeah.
Hell, when we was kids, a lot of the game wardens around here drove Ram Chargers.
Yeah, about all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in some ways, I mean, the Ram Charger body style just kind of looked like a Scout,
Yeah,
supersized
it did.
a little bit.
It
I
did,
mean,
for sure.
Scout invented the SUV.
We got to get your Scout out this summer, too.
We do. It's ready to go.
should.
We'll go get it right now if you want to go.
Hell yeah.
That's the new big thing. Everybody's the old Blazers and the.
I've seen a few of them on the internet, and if they're getting what I think they're getting for those,
Don't sell
mine
them.
is for sale.
Oh man, don't get rid of that.
I don't know. I saw one the other day for $52,000 on eBay.
Oh yeah.
I'm letting mine go for that. Yeah.
Which yours is a hard top, but it's removable, right? Your
Yeah.
Scout? Yeah.
Scout 2. Yeah.
Yeah. The first SUV, the old International
Yeah.
Scout.
They had all that stuff. 4-door pickups, suburban type
Yeah,
vehicles.
you're big into reading. I gave Nick that book, A Corporate Tragedy, that I read about basically the way IH
Yeah, I
went
need to read
broke.
it, yeah.
He gets done with that. You have to take a gander at it.
Yeah, Dad's got a 80 or 82 International dump truck, the old body
Yeah.
style. Still runs like a champ.
I'd love to have a 74.
Automatic.
International pickup.
First time I hopped in it to move it for him, I figured I had a stick in it, but hell, I had an
Yeah.
automatic. It's one of those, you got a gas on it and then let off of it so it'll
Yeah.
shift and then you get back in
And
it,
that
you
was
know,
what year?
80 or 82.
Yeah, I didn't realize they had automatics in that
Yeah.
stuff back then.
Buddy of mine's got a 73 International pickup, I think. Fully restored it here the other day. Drove it clear out. It was sold new in Montana, I think. He drove it clear out there and did a picture in front of the building that used to be the dealership,
Oh, we did.
and then took it out to the big show. There was one this last summer. I can't think what it was. It was the Red Power Roundup was out there or whatever, and brought it around, went out into Yellowstone and all that. Drove
No kidding.
the whole tour.
Those
around.
international trucks look cool for the day. I thought they
they're
did.
awesome.
Well, Dad was going to
They didn't
actually,
drive for shit. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Dad was going to take it. He bought it. It was going to take it and whack it and just put a hitch on the front of it so you pull the tractor and use the dump bed as like a little dump trailer. And he fucked with it, got running, fucking runs like a champ.
Yeah.
Has one brake working, and he was going to just use it around the house there to move firewood. Well, now it's ventured out. Towards getting 10 to 15 miles away from the house of the trip. And the old tanks are just full of rust. And I used it to go out to my brother's to haul some horse shit with it about a month ago. And he'd said, yeah, grab a screwdriver before you go. And there's a filter up on the dash. You may need that. Well, it did. So you got to stop about every 30 miles and crawl underneath it and change the inline fuel line filter. Get back in her, she'll fire up. You're good for another 30.
The old Scout I've got when I bought it, same thing. Fuel tank was full of rust, so I put an inline fuel filter in it, and I got pretty good at changing those. And I kept the whole console full of them, or whatever. And we're out cruising with one night, and a buddy of mine was with me, and he's like, "Oh, man, I need to take a leak." Well, I happened to mash on around the corner. If you got on it hard, it was going to need a fuel
She'd
filter.
suck her shut, yep.
Suck it shut. So we wheeled off real quick. He hopped out to pee real quick, and I changed that real quick, slammed the hood, hopped back in. He got in. He's like, "You gonna change that filter?" I'm like, "I already did." He's like, "No kidding?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm getting pretty good." Yeah. Slammed it, fired her up, off we went, and good to go.
Guess where you just put the Jesus clamps instead of the hose clamps
Yeah,
on
it just had the squeeze clamps
Yep,
on it. Yeah.
yep.
Just
Maybe-
a pair of pliers and a stack of fuel filters. It didn't take me. Oh, it didn't take all super long. I got all the rust out of it and got it cleaned up. It's good to go now. I haven't changed a fuel filter on it in years.
Maybe
now.
that should be our concept if we ever make millions of dollars here on this podcast that people are just not raving over. But an international truck with a 466 in it. We'll take it all
I would
local
like
truck.
I would like to have one.
You would smoke everybody's ass if you built one to.
I even like because they had
466.
crew cabs in them.
Yeah, they had everything.
They were before their
everything
time.
that's made now. They had way back then before everybody wanted it.
Yep.
Right. Ahead of their
I've
time.
never actually been inside an international pickup truck to see the interior or nothing.
About like a '79 Ford,
I didn't know if they was
more or less,
anything.
for lack of comparison.
Now-
so a '74 Ford interior would look very similar. They
Okay.
quit making trucks in '74.
Now, was all the internationals four-wheel drive? Or I mean, not all of them, but I mean, I assume had four-wheel drive.
They had four-wheel drive, yeah. And then they had those travel all. They had some suburban type vehicles. Some of those were only two-wheel drive.
Your
The-
Scout's four-wheel drive.
Four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
The one I still kick myself in the butt for not buying. Do you remember? I know I showed it to you. There was one on eBay, and this has been, gosh, probably 15 years ago now. But it was on an Army base, and they had bought it brand new, and it was a full-size Scout, not a Scout 2. It was a full-size Scout, but some conversion company has extended it, and it had 3 bench seats in it, I think, plus your buckets in the front. And it had like 12,000 miles on it.
No kidding.
And I was dying to buy it. dying to buy it. It's like, what are you going to do with it? Well, you know what we're going to do with it.
Exactly. We're going to drink beer.
We're going to road trip it. Well, we probably don't need to spend the money for that.
On private property.
Yeah, on private
of
property.
course.
It's safely, of course, with helmets, full 5-point harnesses, completely off the roadway.
Yeah, exactly.
But I so wish I'd have bought that because it went kind of high at the time, but now that thing would be worth killer money.
Right.
You know, it's like, I should have bought that.
I wish more than
Not a
anything.
drop of rust when I was in Texas or whatever.
I wish IH could have stayed in business. Just from, like you say, there was a lot of that stuff that they had that was before its time. I'm not saying it was the best or
The
whatever.
Scout 3 had that composite body that nobody did for years after that, you know, and that thing was way ahead of its time.
But that book is so interesting. You know, all the shit that was making them money, they were selling off to raise cash to keep the company. It's like you should have just sold off all this shit that ain't making you no money.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if they could have got Lee Iacocca in there, I think they probably could have saved it.
Well, it sounds like they didn't. Well, they just need him for a business management standpoint.
I just watched a good video of him today on TikTok. I don't know if I sent that to you or not, where they was at a press conference. This was like 1983 or whatever it was, and he was on there. And these goddamn trade deals with Japan. I mean, he was just giving them both barrels.
The same things that we're into with China now.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you guys seen Dan Pena on TikTok at all?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. He is a vicious motherfucker.
He is.
Yeah.
What I love about all that old stuff is, though, you know, man could be a man back then on any of that stuff. We could stand up for some of that whatnot, and it was just such a better time. You know, I was listening to a podcast the other day, the Dale Jr. Download podcast, and he's got old race car drivers on there from time and newer stuff too. But it was he had the guy that was Dale Earnhardt's crew chief on there, Larry McReynolds, there at the end, and he was talking about testing this car on the track, and they went out for practice or whatnot, and Dale got in the lead, and he led for like 20 laps, and McReynolds was like, hey, would you back that off a little bit and get in traffic? Let's see how it handles in traffic. He's like, nah, I don't plan on being back there.
Yep, exactly.
You know, it's like, if a race car driver did that today, you'd probably get fired. You know? But back then, Dale Earnhardt's like, nope, I'm not planning on being in second.
He was a man's man.
He was a man's
back
man.
at, you know.
He had his faults.
Yeah.
I never followed NASCAR, you know, growing up. And there was a stint there when I was probably 22 to 25 years old. I followed it some, and it wasn't like religiously and had my favorite, you know, but I just kind of knew what was going on. But I mean, this shit now, when you got these stages and you got to restrict, it's like, I can't get into that.
Well, it seemed like
all
back in
those
the day,
motorsports have went that way.
Dale Earnhardt, either you loved him or you hated him.
Yeah.
I hated him as a kid.
I think now you have to love him just because of the shit he done.
Like, I didn't like him then because he was a Chevy guy. He was everything I loved in a driver, other than he drove the wrong car, right?
Yep.
But he, all that stuff, you listen to those old stories, you know, it's like, you know, they're taking Volkswagen fenders and beating them flat and putting them on this car and just, you know, hands-on. You know, like the one guy, Richard Childress, that owned Dale Earnhardt's car, his first race car, how he got started, he bought for $20.
No kidding.
He bought it for $20 because they had a $90 claim rule or something. So he bought this $20 car, ended up doing pretty good with it. Somebody gave him $90 for it. So he bought a $50 car and built another one.
Wow.
You know, and that's how he got his start, with a $20 car, and ended up owning the car that Dale Earnhardt drove.
If you
and he's
ever,
a multimillionaire now, you know.
If you ever watch anything on Dale, he damn near didn't make it.
Yeah.
Because he failed pretty miserably the first couple of years trying to race. But he raced the way he did. He just ran the absolute fuck out of it. Well, you can't do that when you don't have the money to fix it.
Exactly. He learned all that stuff, dirt track racing, but he knew he had to get off the dirt tracks to make any money, you know. And his dad was pretty famous. But all that backwoods, you know, just good old boy, go at it. You know,
I love
pound the shit out with a hammer, and we're going to fix this.
Right.
Like some of those guys talk about, Earnhardt's dad, they would take the whole family to the race. He would race the car that night, then they'd all load it back up and drive it home.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
right.
Like, what do you do if you blow the car up? How are you getting home? It's not like you're going to call your buddy.
Right.
You know, I mean, just amazing stuff like that.
Love them Dale interviews, though, when he was younger.
Yeah.
He'd clearly come up, smack somebody's corner, throw him in the wall, be like, yeah, I hit him a little harder. I wanted to.
Trying to rattle his cage.
You smoked him.
Just trying to rattle his cage.
Well, I think I seen a deal on NASCAR, and I could be wrong. Don't flame me on this deal, but I think it was the first NASCAR race ever televised. At the end of the race, like in fucking turn 4, somebody got sideways, whatever, but the first televised race ever, K.O. Yarborough and somebody else got in a fist fight.
Yes.
Right on the fucking track on national TV, and it like exploded from there. You know, everybody was all about it then. You know,
But tractor pulling was the same way back then. You know, you could, you know, a little ingenuity and a hammer and
people farmed with them. You know, it's like
you could build something out of something. Now it's all big dollars and cents and all that stuff,
and full of bitching.
Full of bitching.
I will I'll stand by this until I see something different to change my view on it. But you'll never see a bigger group of bitchers than anybody that does anything in the stock class.
Yeah.
Oh, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong there. You know, I'm sure you've seen the meme. It's like somewhere there's a guy in a $300,000 motorhome with an enclosed stacker trailer talking about how racing's costing too much, and then then there's this guy with a 454 Chevy Dually square body that he drug out of his neighbor's pasture with a shitty trailer and an old derby car on it, saying, "Man, ain't we having a great time drinking a cold beer?" And there's truth in that.
Yep.
It's just. Yep. But how do you keep it at that level? Because it's like anything. I don't care if we're shooting guns or if we're tractor pulling, drag racing, stock car racing. Money starts playing into it.
Yeah.
It gets super expensive as it gets popular, and it weeds out the guys that are probably better at it but just can't physically afford it.
Well, when I had a pulling truck, we had a meeting one winter. We all got together and drank beer. And it started out really friendly, and it kind of didn't end that way. Basically.
Like it usually does, yeah.
And so they first started out the diesel pickups, which then, I think Adam's truck was 12 or 1,300 horse engine dynoed. I mean, it was a running motherfucker. Wanted duals. Okay, yeah, no problem. So all we did was take single axle pickups and take a loader tractor and sham duals onto them and push them as high as we could to get a lug nut started. Right. And suck a lug nut and fucking run it, So there was a couple two-wheel drive guys that were coming around at that point, and on a certain track, they'd whip the shit out of the four-wheel drive guys. Well, they wanted duals. Oh, no, we can't because of safety. I'm like, there's a 1,300 horse pickup over here, spinning the fuck out of them. Shit with 3 threads holding them.
Exactly.
And the gassers weren't as hot then as they are now. And, there's probably 500 horse gap between the gas trucks and the diesels. And then the stock guys were, I want a distributor that has a built-in rev limiter so I don't tear anything up if I break a U-joint or something. Well, if it's stock, it won't spin hard enough to hurt anything. And just one thing after
it's always the
other,
technical shit.
Holy, well, that's to pull 17 inches of vacuum. Well, when I worked at a dealership in 1962, it wouldn't pull 17 inches of vacuum factory anyway. I'm like, holy shit, guys!
When we were kids, and then you even see it now in these local polls where they have the run what you brung farm tractor class, and luckily it's local, so. Literally, everybody knows if that's a farm tractor or not because you've seen it in the field. You know it's not some shed queen that's all pimped out, But when we were kids, that's when they first started pickup truck pulling, and it was daily drivers. There was nothing that was modified for pulling. It was literally unhook the gooseneck, take it to the track.
We're going to town.
Exactly. And to me, that's what was so much fun. And even if you ask around today, hey, what class do you like the best? Most people tell you it's the run what you brung.
Tim had that yellow fucking Ford.
Yeller.
You
can't maintain that though, right?
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter if it's truck pulling, tractor pulling, drag racing, whatever it is. You started off at that, but it always evolves into Nathan bought this. Tony's like, heck with that. I'm going to buy this one better.
Exactly.
And then it gets out of hand like that
But
every time.
It used to be Dale had the Whore Dog up there. Tim had that yellow Ford. Which always broke.
To me,
every time he hooked to a sled, it broke.
I still say the best way to eliminate most of that shit is in these stock classes. Okay, if it's a stock tractor class, the fucker's got to have 3-point PTO, all the shit on it. And you'll eliminate, because most people ain't going to spend that kind of money on a tractor with that shit still on it.
Well, then you get the guys that got wheel weight stacked 6 feet out on both sides.
Or they got belly bar on it like they ever farmed with a belly bar.
Yep. But luckily being local, you literally know that, okay, I know this guy farms with that tractor. I mean,
but you can't make that the rule, right?
Exactly.
It can't be that Tony has to know this guy.
Exactly.
So once you put it in black and white, then it always ends up being a shit show. But some of those old interviews, I was listening to the one with Daryl Waltrip, and just the stuff they did, it was just...
It was cool because it was ingenuity.
Cool. It was. Like he wrecked his one car, and then they switched, complete brands. They took everything off this Mercury and put on a Chevrolet or whatever. There wasn't very much Chevrolet about it. It was all this old Mercury, but it was a fresh frame, whatever. He's driving for somebody else. It was just, it's super awesome and interesting to hear all that old stuff.
To me, racing was racing when you had an open face helmet and one piece of pipe over your head, and that was pretty much it. Seatbelts were marginal at best.
When Days of Thunder come out was about the end of NASCAR.
It was.
Of the good NASCAR. Back when a guy like Harry Hogg, who's fictional but kind of based on a real character, doing it in his barn, building them, and then now it's all cookie cutter, CNC.
It's all for the advertisement.
The best one is he's cheating. Well, how do you know? well, I'm cheating and he's beating me.
There's a lot of truth in that. Yeah, there's a lot of truth in that.
Yeah, that's one movie I don't know that I've ever seen is Days of Thunder.
You've never seen
never-
Days of Thunder.
oh,
Get
gotcha.
out. The podcast is over. We're
Yeah.
taking a break while Tony watches Days of Thunder.
Have you seen Lonesome Dove?
When I was a little kid, but I can't tell you anything about
I
it.
watched Lonesome Dove.
I can quote the entire Days of Thunder movie too, if you want.
I do know that I have seen bits and pieces of Days and Thunder. I do remember seeing the wheelchair deal in the hospital where they started racing.
Hit the pace card.
But as far as the rest of that movie, I don't think I've ever seen.
He was out there in a 1586 in the mud, spraying
with saddle tanks on.
Yeah, clearly wouldn't actually have been doing it. I mean, obviously, like, hey, we got to film this and go out there. That's the best coon dog I ever seen or heard about, and I didn't teach him a damn thing.
I like to hit the pace card. What? Hit the pace card. Why? Well, you hit everything else out there, and I want you to be perfect.
Well, look at that. Panel we don't have to fix. I don't want you spoiled.
Yeah, you need to watch that, Tony. That's
I do know from all the previews, and like I say, I honest to God, I've never seen the movie, but from all the previews, it's like, I mean, is Tom Cruise's car coal-fired in that movie? I mean, he is literally black from head to toe in every
I
fucking
always go and chuckle on that too. It's like they're all banging back and forth, and he is just covered in
it's like what
degrees. Nobody else is. Yeah.
I always wondered that if that was some car I didn't know about that was coal-fired.
Well, they took the windshield out forever.
So part of those scenes are based on real things. So like, so when they take them to that restaurant or whatever, that actually happened. That was Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Bodine.
Oh, really?
I think it was Jeff Bodine.
Yeah.
They kept hitting each other all the time or whatever. And so Bill France said, hey, you guys are riding to supper together. We're meeting out here. Some of that was based on real stuff.
Oh, really?
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Earnhardt was the original fucking badass. I mean,
Which the couple years that I followed it, like I said, this has been in I'm going to say roughly 2003. It was kind of cool then because
Dale was gone then.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
But it still felt like there was somewhat of a competition. Now it just seems like it is nothing but a show and it's politically correct.
Yeah.
And everybody has to have a fair shake, so we got to break this down
I
into
would
stages.
say that's almost 100% of anything fucking pro sport.
Yeah.
Anything, period.
Pro sports in general, whether it's
Yeah.
motorsports or bat and ball, whatever, that they've all went to shit.
They were talking about football the other day at work, and I said, I fucking couldn't tell you anything about football.
I don't watch any
I was
sports.
like, I think the last game I watched was when Urlacher played for the Bears.
Did
That's
they
just because
call
he
him-
was a badass
The
fucking
day
dude.
Colin
you know?
Kaepernick took a knee was the last time I watched a football game.
I have never in my whole life watched baseball, football, basketball. The only thing I will maybe watch is college basketball at March Madness.
They run that now.
And even then, I
You
don't
can
watch.
transfer, and they're going to pay them. And
Yeah.
that'll be a crap
So we're
show.
on this subject, and I had completely forgot about it, but it's a good topic to talk about how our country's in such a fucking
It's a shit
whirlwind going down the toilet. So I shoot with a guy that came from China in 2015, and he rode all the way out to Kansas with me a couple weeks ago.
No, he's actually Chinese.
Chinese, came from China.
Is he shooting SKS or?
Nope. He's a hell of a... He shoots a 223 in attack class.
Okay.
Hell of a 223 shooter. But he taught archery in China. And the reason they're over here, his wife came over here with her job, and they came over, and he every 3 years she has to move as part of the contract for a job. So he's lived in L.A., he lives in Champaign now. She's getting ready to move to Boston, but he's actually thinking about moving to Atlanta because a friend of his is starting a job. But anyway, he taught archery in China. And he said the only way you can really even get into archery in China is if you're good enough to possibly make it to the Olympics. And he was an instructor, so he was a good archer, so he was able to teach and all that shit. And I was like, so I assume there's no rifle shooting in China. And he just laughs. He goes, no, there's literally nothing. And he goes, I can't believe the people that are so against the Second Amendment and so against everything that, he goes, they really need to come and live where
It never fails.
He's 31, so he
is-
lived until he was 25 in China. He's like, people here have absolutely no idea.
It's always the people that come
You
from
know.
them countries who are like, man, this is the greatest country in the fucking world, and yet you dumb fucks are too stupid to even see it.
And he's even said, like, he got mugged in L.A., and he's like, well, I couldn't have a pistol in my car in L.A., and when they were moving from L.A. out here, he had all these rifles and shit, everything in this little U-Haul and this little car they had, and got pulled over, and he was asking my views on cops. And I was like, I support cops. I mean, there's some shitbags out there, I'm sure, but there isn't anything you do.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the bad ones always are ones that I mean,
make the news.
how many people leave a good review at a restaurant?
Exactly.
Not very many, but fucking, it's always a bad review.
Karens will give you plenty of reviews.
And he had these guys out on the side of the interstate in cuffs with all their shit out, because there were two Chinese people with rifles traveling across. And I can kind of without trying to use racial profile, I can understand, but
To me, that's simple paperwork.
Yeah.
I got concealed carry. If a cop pulls me over, all I got to do is wheel out the paper, and then there's no need to cuff anybody, whatever.
Yeah.
I got the fucking proof right here. And that guy should.
Well, the cop thought they were running drugs.
Yeah, which he profiled him.
Yeah, 100%. May have been a piece of shit cop, had a bad day, and his old lady's fucking somebody else, and we're going to take it on these people.
And granted, we'll go, I'm not speaking for anybody else in this podcast, but profiling works. When the numbers show that certain people, and I'm not targeting any certain people, when the statistics show that they're the ones doing it, then what the fuck do you think when I pull you over? I'm going to check it out.
I mean, Nick's 6'5" and blonde-haired. He was probably a Nazi in Germany.
Exactly. He's exactly what Adolf was looking for.
I'm going to be quiet.
But yeah,
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that.
And he was telling me, he's like, so many Asian Americans are against the Second Amendment, but he's like, they don't have a negative view on guns. They just have no view. And he's like, my wife's the same way. She doesn't like guns because of the noise, but she's not against them. He's like, but people just don't understand, like, once you move to a full-fledged communist country, how little you can do. Yeah. You have nothing.
You say one bad word against the government, they might kill you.
Yeah. The only reason they let him be an archer because he was good at it was training people because they had a chance to go to the Olympics. That's the only reason he had the right to shoot a bow. Other than that, fuck you.
I'm actually surprised countries like China actually let them people leave to go live in other countries. Right. I mean, I really am. Yeah. I mean,
well, I don't think North Korea can. I think
North Korea, you're pretty much locked down. Yeah. But as far as China, I'm surprised they let very many people.
He said there's such a different gap. Like, okay, so here you have rich people. You kind of have a middle class, which is dwindling anymore than you have poors. He goes, really, over there, you have rich people and you have everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, there is no
middle class.
You don't scrape out a fucking decent living and go on vacation. And you scrape out a bunch of money that you can save and you fucking move to America.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I truly do. I feel sorry for them people. And I honestly do feel sorry even for the people coming across the southern border. I don't think we should have open borders and let these people in. Right. I genuinely do feel sorry for them, but at some point in time, you got to take matters into your own hands
and take over their own country.
That's just the way it is. I mean, I don't know what the answer to that is, but so does like the little China guy? Does he like talk about like old history, like World War II?
No,
does he go back to?
We didn't really get into that. I didn't be like, hey, was your grandpa one of the fuckers that sunk our boats?
Right.
But I never knew what he was. I'd seen him at shoots before, and he got a hold of me, and we rode out to Kansas together. But he's not Japanese; he's Chinese.
Right.
I could say they all look alike or whatever. But
I didn't know how keen
Chinese didn't sink our boats.
Yeah.
I didn't know how keen they were like on World War II. Like some people, all you assholes or
no. I mean, he's as pro-American as pro-American gets. I mean, he's a bigger
he's
a bigger patriot than a lot of people.
Yeah, and that's what's so screwed up.
Yeah.
For looking at it from a U.S. standpoint, it's like this guy wasn't even born, not even a Native American.
Well, a lot of these people don't know what they have.
Exactly.
That's
like,
exactly right.
This country, when you're standing at the Olympics, not putting your hand over your heart for the American flag, I think you're missing the fucking picture.
What was the one lady that
hoped
hoped she got a gold medal so she could burn the American flag on the podium? Are you fucking serious? I mean, that just, to me, that's an immediate ban.
We ought to send her to China and let her make a statement like that about burning the China flag and see how far that
goes.
Yeah.
Most of these people don't realize how close we come to losing World War II and the shitstorm we would be living in right now had it not been for...
Yeah, for patriots.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a road I don't think they want to go down.
No.
I don't see too many people, Venezuela isn't a big tourist fucking trap.
Right.
No.
Yep.
For a good reason.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
I don't know.
The average American takes a lot of things for granted that they shouldn't. And I think the average head in the sand, liberal, whatever you want to call them, takes even more than that for granted. And it's sad, really. I remember growing up, somebody was jacking around during the national anthem one time a little bit, a few rows in front of us at the ball game. And I thought my dad's eyes were going to burn that kid in two. You know, and that was 35 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, but that made an impression on me, and you just don't do that. If they don't like that, that's fine. If you don't like this country, that's fine. Don't represent it in the Olympics.
Exactly.
Stay home, do whatever you got to do. Go to the country. Everybody wants socialism in this country. Then go to a socialist country and live it up.
Yep.
Why screw up the last great place?
There's
go there and live it up.
There's 3 sports in this country that you'd really get into that's still patriotic. That's anything shooting related, pulling, drag racing, and rodeo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those are the only ones that will still do a
rodeo,
prayer and
shooting.
the American Legion.
And if you notice,
before.
that ain't got a whole lot of pussies in any of them sports.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
You try doing that shit at a rodeo, see if you make it back to your car.
Right.
See if you make it back to your Prius.
Yep.
You're probably not going to.
And if you do, the tires are probably going to be flat when you get there.
But you don't care about that, Tony, because you're
Yeah.
against big petroleum.
Yeah.
So you don't need tires anyway.
Yeah.
You'll just go home on unicorn farts and fairy dust.
Yep. This country don't realize, or a lot of people don't realize how close we come to losing World War II. I mean, there was several instances where...
There's a lot of things that God obviously wanted it to be in our hands. There was a lot of coincidences that made that deal work.
Yep. And we've talked before, the big bad German engineering. I mean, where did that...
German engineering means one thing. Super complicated, damn hard to work on, can't fix it quick.
Yeah. I've heard you guys talk about, like with Mercedes engines.
Open the hood on Mercedes one time in your life, and you'll go, "What the fuck is all this?"
But those guys don't care. It's like because they're going to have beer for lunch.
Yeah,
Herman. They all got a lathe and a mill. We'll just make that part.
That's a joke.
That's the stupidest thing.
That's
in the
a
world.
joke. Herman the German engineered this. You
Yeah.
know. You can tell.
Yeah, you can tell because it's super complicated. We made it 10 times harder to work on than it needs to be. It's all super precise, but you got to turn everything out on a lathe in your garage to make it fit.
Right.
Super handy.
Yeah.
The same company that didn't know it, or the same country that didn't know it got cold in Russia in the winter, and didn't know that the transmissions in their tanks wouldn't make it from Germany all the way to Russia.
Right.
Maybe I'll do the math on that first.
Really? Their
Probably
transmissions?
No, there's a bunch of stuff on their tanks that wouldn't make it all the way. They had to change them a couple of times. And it's like, well, that's going to work out well.
But
Well thought out.
But Hitler, if Tony was talking about how close we came to not winning World War II. If Hitler would not have fucked with Germany when he fucked with them,
Russia. Yeah.
Or sorry, I'm Russia. Yeah, we would have had a hell of a lot bigger situation on our hands.
Absolutely.
Than what we did.
Absolutely. It had been a whole big shitstorm. Like I said, we should have just parked our stuff at the French border after we freed France and said, you know what? You Germans and you Russians, you guys fight it out to your little hearts are content.
Right.
Blow the shit out of each other. And we'll pick up the pieces at the end.
Yep.
Yeah, it was damn close. I mean, it really was. There was a lot of instances if you go back and look.
What always cracks me up about World War II, and it's not funny, it's sad, but World War II was started because Germany invaded Poland, right?
Yep.
We can't have that. But they said, well, this is all we're going to take, and then it escalated and escalated and escalated. So we free all this shit, we march over there, and we blow the shit out of everything, and then we give Poland to Russia. Now, do you think they were better off where the Germans had super complicated shit, but they had it, as opposed to the Russians who had nothing?
Right.
Yeah, let's leave it to them.
Yeah.
That makes a good plan.
Yep.
Yeah. A lot of big coincidences in that deal. Like
It's just amazing how big on a scale World War II was. I mean,
absolutely.
Oh, it's
Africa
phenomenal.
and
The
all of Europe.
The stuff that we produced, and that back then we could outproduce people. Now you realize you can't buy a chain made in America.
Really?
An actual, not like a log chain, but like a
bicycle
roller chain.
We don't make roller chain in America.
Really?
0 companies in the United States make roller chain. Yeah, that sounds like there's probably no chain on a tank, I suspect. I mean, there's probably no chain.
Right.
Doesn't look like there would be.
But it's like we talk, we outproduced them. Well, yeah, none of our shit got leveled.
None of our shit got leveled, yeah.
I mean,
they're building shit in the side of a mountain after we bombed it 6 times. It's ridiculous. I don't know. It just infuriates me, the fact that these people can't see the forest for the trees, and we keep just shitting this country down the road when we should just dominate in every facet of the game. If it wasn't for stupid regulations, we are regulating ourselves into oblivion of stupidity. We're worried about gender-neutral bathrooms while China's built the biggest navy in the history of the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Sounds like that'll work out good in the long
with
term.
the Olympics coming up here in 2 weeks. You remember the last time we had the Olympics, which had been, 5 years ago, because they're supposed to be last year, I think. Mm-hmm. Nonetheless, everybody was all butthurt that, well, the U.S. they're winning too many medals. We got to back off here. Fuck that. I want to go there and dominate.
Everyone.
I want to win
I want to win the Olympics.
I do
the
too.
whole thing.
They
never give you the final tally. I want to know who won the whole damn thing.
Exactly.
I want to dominate from front to back, top to bottom.
Me too. Every fucking sport we're in, we're taking home gold in everything. I don't care.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
the other thing that pisses me off about the Olympics is, and I'm all for the Olympics, but it's like, we got all these green weenies that are, they love the Olympics, and it's so nice to compete with the rest of the world, and it's great and it's wonderful. But these are the same people that they want the Olympics, but they're green on the other side. You can't have tires on your car. You can't have a 454, big block.
Yeah.
But we build these entire complexes, massive villages, this whole deal for the Olympics, and then we abandon this shit and we move to another place.
Yeah.
I don't have the Olympics in the same place twice.
Yeah.
Let's use the thing more than once.
that's the way I see it. I've said that for years.
Yeah.
Why
I
not
got to
have it
drive
in the
an
same
electric car because Jack Flash in L.A. thinks that I'm blowing smoke in the air, but meanwhile, we build this entire city in Russia that we abandoned 2 days after the Olympics that wasn't done when the Olympics started.
Yeah.
Good plan.
And just like all these green people doing that, you've produced nothing your whole life training for this game.
Yes.
You've done nothing but burn fossil fuels your entire fucking life doing this and produce nothing. At least the common Joe like you and I are producing something, doing something with our hands.
You want to start the Olympics? Here's the new Olympics. Wherever it is, you ride your bicycle to it.
Yep,
that's the buy-in. Is you pedal your ass there.
Yeah.
Be as green as you can be. You pedal your ass there on steel wheels, and once you get there, then we'll start the Olympics. The Olympics is 4 years from now. Start making your way.
Exactly.
When you get there, we'll turn on the lights.
Yeah. Look at the torch. We need to turn that into a flashlight or something. Then we can't have no flame.
That's just it's fossil fuels.
Exactly.
It's terrible. It's terrible for everybody. I don't know. The regulations and the stupidity anymore are just about to wear me out.
Oh, I'm the same way. I can't take it anymore. I truly can't.
Because we're the only country that worries about it, right?
Right.
Nobody cares until you get India and China putting scrubbers on their shit and burning, less fuel and whatnot. You know what we're doing with all the coal in the United States right now? You know where it's going?
Shipping it.
We're shipping it to China. They're dumping it in the ocean to store it because it doesn't burn up in the sun that way.
Yep.
So we can't burn it here because it's not green. So we ship it to China on probably a fossil fuel powered boat. They dump it in the ocean, which I gotta think is great for the water.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna dig it out later when we're out of all the coal and sell us the power back. That's a great plan.
You're actually wrong. The Biden administration just issued sailboat powered container ships. So
Well, that should be awesome.
yeah.
I bet that thing will make it.
we're good there.
So they'll be there about the
Definitely.
time they pedal the Olympics. That boat will be
It's
there.
Then to
definitely
me-
not great big diesels that's powering them.
To me,
so.
Air Force One should be a fucking glider from
Exactly.
here on out. Just like the World War II gliders we had that fucking crashed numerously and killed everybody on board, then fucking Air Force One should be a glider.
That's what
If
I was
what
saying.
we're
You
gonna
want to be a liberal ass president? That's great. You get an electric car that has a range of about 20 miles.
Yep.
do. No more guns protecting you because that's lead and fucking.
That's bad. That's all bad. If it's good enough for you, or good enough for me, by gosh, it's good enough for you.
Lead by example.
Exactly.
I 100% agree.
Yep.
Best leaders in the world always led by example. They were willing to get down in the trenches and do it. Well, by gosh, the president ought to do it too.
I honestly just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. The hatred some people have. Fucking get the fuck out there.
So if you don't
Go
like this
live in
country,
Central
there's-
Mexico and see how
There's plenty
great
of
it
shit
is.
boxes
Yep.
in this world to live in.
Yep.
Go there.
Oh,
Quit trying to drag us down.
it's unreal.
Well, what's the new Biden hat? Because Make America Great Again was racist. So it's Build Back Better? Is that the new one?
Well, how can we do that? We would have to be building it in
Yeah,
America.
No. It's
I mean-
fine because it's different.
It's different lingo.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the new Biden hat is Build Back Better, though. Not Make America Great Again, Build Back Better. Which
Come
is not,
on, man.
It's all true. You gotta, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no controlled media there. They're all on the up and up.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, goddamn, we went an hour and a half on this podcast.
Yeah, we got way out there.
Yeah, we did. We really got way out there and kind of really went off the fucking rails.
Yeah.
But that's what we like.
Way to go, Cushman. Tony and I normally keep this thing real straight and narrow.
Family oriented.
Yeah.
You come along.
Yeah, just
Well, I've been
blowing
trying to
crap.
get a Nick McCormick rant going. I think we finally got a couple in this one.
We've come.
Yeah, I haven't went full off on the deep end, but give me time. Let me easing in. Just dipping my foot in the water.
I hear stomping upstairs. I think my wife's home. My wife had been at your wife's house.
Yeah, that can't be good.
No, she's probably drunk. That might be her falling down. Or it could be kids stomping through. I don't know. But nonetheless, we got to cut this off here. I mean, we were probably boring you guys to death. We do appreciate all you truck drivers listening. We get a lot of comments that, hey, man, you get me through the day driving up and down the road. And we're glad to hear that. Granted, we ain't the best podcast out there.
Yeah, hopefully none of them take offense to anything.
No, exactly. Hey,
because I was a truck driver, so
we call a spade here, and if you don't like it, just like I say on TikTok, go fuck yourself. Nobody cares. but no, we do appreciate you guys tuning in. We hope it gets you through the day. And, you know, I know how it is going up and down the road. The radio sucks anymore. You can't find any good music on. It's good to listen to something that you can relate to. So anyway, thanks a whole bunch for tuning in, guys. You can follow Nathan on TikTok. It's Bullets, the letter N, Mullets. Nick McCormick is N McCormick 1466, and you all know me as Growing Corn 2020. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next time.